Will Ragatz with Vikings on SI here to recap yet another Minnesota Vikings victory, their ninth consecutive win. They beat the Packers 27-25 here at US Bank Stadium in the game of the week, nationally broadcast game on Fox. Tom Brady on the call. A huge, huge game for the Vikings to kind of stay alive in the NFC North race, set up next week what is going to be a winner take all game in the NFC North in Detroit for the number one seed, a much easier playoff path on paper, a bye in the first round. But I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit. Let's talk about this game. The Vikings, it looked at times like they were kind of running away with it. They started a bit slow. They're down 3-0 after the first, but then a really strong second quarter. Sam Darnold touchdown pass to Jalen Naylor, a couple field goals. It was 13-3 going into the second half, and then they start out the third quarter with another impressive touchdown drive. Darnold hits Jordan Addison on a great play to make it a 20-3 game. Vikings get the ball back. So they had opportunities to really kind of run away with it, which was similar to what we saw in week 4 at Green Bay when they had a 28-0 lead and then let the Packers back into it. The same thing kind of played out here in this game. The Vikings, Darnold threw a pick, which was just his second interception in the last 7 games. Packers get a touchdown to cut it to 10. But the Vikings, Darnold bounced back again. Another really strong drive, capped with a Cam Akers touchdown. Darnold's third of the day. It was 27-10. Vikings had the ball back again. And then a Will Reichard missed field goal and a couple Packers touchdowns in the fourth quarter made it a little dicey. And the Vikings had the ball up 2, and they had to do something at the very end because there was still a 2-minute warning and 3 timeouts for the Packers. They're able to get a couple first downs. The last one coming on a Darnold floated pass that Cam Akers was able to adjust and grab to seal the win. Ball that Kevin O'Connell said seemed like it was in the air for a very long time. But even though it got a little dicey in the end, it was the same story as that 31-29 win at Lambeau Field earlier this year. The Packers never had the ball with a chance to go take the lead. So even if it felt a little more tense than maybe it needed to be, or that the Vikings would have liked, the Packers' win probability never climbed too high. This was a really impressive performance from the Vikings for much of the game. I mean, when they're playing like they did for a lot of the second and third quarters in this game, they look really, really difficult to beat. They look like one of the best teams in the NFL, like a genuine Super Bowl contender, which they've proven to be during this 9-game win streak, this 14-2 unbelievable ride of a regular season. And it starts with Darnold, who was just brilliant once again, 33 of 43, 377 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. He did throw the pick, but he shook that off and just played extremely well. A high volume of attempts, but he was ripping throws into tight windows over the middle of the field. He was getting out of the pocket and making some plays on the boots, especially a couple of those at the very end, and just really playing incredible football, which he has done for so much of this season, especially this recent stretch, playing at an MVP level, operating Kevin O'Connell's offense, reading the field. And it's not just Justin Jefferson, who had another outstanding game in this one, had a ridiculous one-handed catch that was overturned because of a penalty. But Jordan Addison gets a touchdown. Jalen Naylor gets a touchdown. Akers gets a touchdown. TJ Hawkinson is involved. Aaron Jones is involved out of the backfield. Darnold is using all of his weapons to move the ball, to be explosive. Vikings had 440 or so total yards of offense in this game. It's a good Packers defense, and they're missing a few starters due to injury, but that's a very good defense that ranks among the best in the league if you look at things like DVOA and other metrics. So for Darnold to have this kind of performance, to just keep stacking the weeks that he's stacking, has just been incredibly impressive. He's over 4,000 passing yards in the season, 35 touchdowns. Got 13 games this year with a passer rating above 100. It was 116 today. Only 5 times in the history of the league has a quarterback had a passer rating above 113 times in a season. 2 of them being Darnold and Lamar Jackson this year. The other seasons being Aaron Rodgers twice and 2018 Patrick Mahomes. So really, really incredible company that kind of puts into some context the season that Darnold has had, this unbelievable season that really nobody outside of the Vikings building saw coming. He's not going to win MVP most likely, but he absolutely deserves to be in the top 5 in that voting with the year he's had for a 14-2 team that has a chance to win 15 games next week. So he's just been incredible. The poise that he's playing with, the confidence that he's playing with, the way he's operating the offense. And like I said, this was up and down the roster on the offense. All the weapons chipping in. The offensive line, for the most part, was good. Darnold was only sacked once. The defense held the Packers at 3 points in the first half, 10 points through three quarters until a little bit of a late push in the fourth. But they come away with a takeaway for the 16th consecutive game. Every single game this season, they've had at least one takeaway. Jerry Tillery forced a fumble on the opening drive of the game for the Packers. Josh Jacobs came by and recovers, and of course leads a quite fun celebration inspired by High School Musical. And then Vikings end up with a sack late, a couple sacks. Andrew Van Ginkel and Blake Cashman split one. Dallas Turner got one. They get Ivan Pace Jr. back from injury. They get Harrison Smith back from injury. The defense, there's probably some plays they would like to have back. They didn't want it to end up as close as it did, but this has been a top 5, top 3 defense in the league all year because they stiffen when they need to. They come up with takeaways. They come up with sacks. They get stops in the red zone. And they did enough in this game, playing complementary football with the offense to get it done. If there's any concerns, I mean, outside of just broadly letting the Packers back into the game, which wasn't ideal, Will Reichard missed a couple field goals. He hit the crossbar on a 57-yard attempt early, missed a 43-yarder off the left upright late in the game that could have probably helped prevent it from getting as close as it did at the end. Also missed a 55-yarder at the end of the half and then got another chance because of a Packers penalty and hit it from 50 yards. So maybe a slight concern. I mean, Kevin O'Connell said after the game he's got all kinds of confidence in him. His next kick is going to be his best kick. Don't think there's any real reason to lose faith in the rookie just yet, but he hasn't quite looked like the same kicker after the 4-week stint on IR than the incredible start to the season he had before he got hurt in that Colts game. So it's just something to monitor moving forward. Also, Pat Jones gets injured in this game on a low block from Tucker Kraft. That's something to monitor. It sounds like he'll be out for a bit, if not the remainder of the season. We'll see. Aaron Jones, who had another good game, a solid game against his former team. He was kind of pulled in the second half with a quad issue. Cam Akers, Ty Chandler got some run as well. So worth monitoring moving forward. But I mean, what a week this is going to be. What a win for the Vikings over the Packers here. And it just sets up an unbelievable week where they're going to prepare like they have all season and try to go to Detroit next week and win an absolutely massive game. That will almost certainly be a primetime game to wrap up the regular season next week at Ford Field. So lots to come in preparation for that game. Lots of preview coverage. But yeah, for right now, the Vikings are 14-2. They currently sit pending the Lions game against the 49ers, which doesn't really matter on Monday night. They currently sit as the number 1 seed in the NFC. It's just been an unbelievable season, and we'll continue to cover it all right here.